We are going to do the news with Rick Thompson. Rick, take it away.
You got it, Michael. It is the news. Thursday, December 17th, 2015, one of the last Thursdays of the year. I'm going to tell you, folks, it's been crazy as far as news goes. Let's start off with local Michigan news. A 4-month-long, according to 9 and 10 News, a 4-month-long investigation and many tips led the Traverse City Narcotics team to raid 4 dispensaries in Kalkaska County. TNT, along with several other law enforcement agencies, made the raids to seize evidence at those 4 distribution centers. In August, they say detectives were tipped off that dispensaries were operating outside of Michigan's Medical Marijuana Act guidelines. That's what we do. Their investigation led them to 2 dispensaries in the village of Kalkaska, one in Clearwater Township and another in Rapid River Township, where they've seized marijuana records, cash, and other forms of marijuana. Listen to this. Investigation also led to 2 other searches at homes and 3 search warrants at local banks. Always hate to hear that. The report says no arrests were made, and the issue now goes to the prosecutor for review. All right, how about talking about Dakota Cerna? You know, Dakota's issue here with Senator Jones in the middle of the Judiciary Committee has really blown up. RawStory.com reports that Senator Jones has taken it to the nth degree and that the senator has now advised that Dakota is not to be allowed into his office and all meetings must take place at the security desk, and that Mr. Cerna's Facebook account is being monitored by officials of the government. What do you think about that? I don't like it at all. Dakota's a great friend of the show. He's been on many times, and all he did was talk. He never said a 4-letter word. Allegan
Jones is a pussy.
That's a nice word. I like it when you say that. Allegan County is organizing a task force to investigate medical marijuana grow facilities following the supposed explosion of one in Manillas Township, Michigan. Michigan legislators are still considering statewide medical marijuana reform, but the Allegan County investigation will look into the quote-unquote public safety issues involved with medical marijuana production facilities, according to a resolution passed by the Board of Commissioners last week. An explosion on December 3rd prompted the board's action. One man was injured and his dog was killed after a self-storage unit housing marijuana plants blew up, but we reported here earlier that they said that was from propane stored in another storage unit. So it's once again overreaction to a situation that does not require any action.
Blame it on the weed.
No, it's easy to do. You know, there was a press conference in Lansing while Jamie and I were in Washington, D.C.
There was.
There certainly was. It was not much of a press conference.
That's what I heard.
You know, according to our news source here, which is Fox 17, there's a push for change and clarity in Michigan's medical marijuana law, but past support for this reform is fading after changes were made to the dispensary bill by Senator Jones and his cronies calling for a tiered licensing system. In an effort to once again draw support, a supposed bipartisan coalition met at the Capitol to explain why they think stricter regulations and pending medical marijuana legislation is needed. One Republican and one Democrat does not compose a bipartisan coalition. When it comes to statewide medical marijuana law reform, both sides tell you that helping patients is at the heart of the issue, but with stricter regulations written into these bills, the questions become, do the regulations work more to crack down on illegal activity, or do they make it harder for patients to get their medicine and reward big business? Rick Jones said this, what we have now is basically a form of organized crime. I know, and he would know organized crime being a former sheriff and a guy who likes to yell at veterans. Fact is, our medical marijuana community helped stop these bills from advancing any further, and it's unfortunate we even had to take that action in the first place. Final story for this evening. You're going to love this one. You're going to love to hate this one. From Portland, Oregon. The U.S. Postal Service says it is now illegal to mail materials containing advertising for marijuana products, even in states that have legalized the federally controlled marijuana substance. The policy statement was released this week and came in response to a letter from Oregon's congressional delegation asking the service to clarify its policy on the issue. The memo was codified in November It was distributed in the Portland Postal District, saying it was unlawful for newspaper outlets to run marijuana ads and use the U.S. mail for delivery.
That sounds like a Commerce Clause violation to me.
It just seems so crazy to me, too, Alan. The memo caused a lot of confusion amongst publishers whose newspapers have published ads for dispensaries and manufacturers of marijuana goods. And the reason? It says advertisements for the sale of marijuana are non-mailable, according to Thomas Marshall, Executive Vice President and General Counsel of the Postal Service, who wrote this in a letter to the delegation, because under the Federal Controlled Substances Act, marijuana sales prohibited as a Schedule 1. The same law also prohibits placing written ads for controlled substances like marijuana in newspapers, magazines, or other publications. To which I say, balderdash, sir. And he said, these provisions express Congress's judgment that the mail should not be used as a means of transmitting advertisements for the sale of marijuana, even if that sale is allowed under state law. I don't think they ever actually said those words. The Postal Service has released a national policy, which also spells out that local postal officials cannot refuse mail that contains potheads, but they must report it. To whom in the Postal Service do you report when you find an advertisement with a marijuana leaf on it? The matter must then be turned over to law enforcement agencies who will decide if an investigation is warranted. So now the Postal Service has been turned into a bunch of angry shooters and snitches. That's not what we needed.
Turned into.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the news.